Okay. Does anyone recognize where I am? It's a little grainy of a picture, but this is the Kotel. And the Kotel, I don't know if you've ever been there before. Raise your hand if you've been there. If you've been to the Kotel, you know that a lot of people pray here. A lot of people come to daven to Hashem here. Well, really, it's the other side of the wall that's the best place to daven. But right now, for whatever reason, the best place that we could daven in the whole wide world is by Har Habayit. It is on the mountain that's right here, that's in this picture here. This is like the best place. So a lot of people come to the Kotel because it's the closest place we can go to daven. And I want to tell you a story about something that happened at the Kotel. See, the Kotel isn't like a regular shul. It's not like a regular Beit Knesset or a regular synagogue where people come to pray and there are seats and it's organized and you know where to sit and nobody sits in your seat and nobody can bump into you. The Kotel is just an open area. You see how it's just an open space and people just stand around the Kotel. And when they want to daven together with other people, they just sort of all get together in a space together, and that's where they pray. But a lot of times, people walk through and they're walking from one place to another place at the Kotel. Let's say they want to go from like here to here, or even over here, right? Or the women could daven over here, and everybody gets kind of like jumbled up. And you could end up bumping into somebody if you're not careful, stepping on someone's foot if you're not careful. And you have to be like, really know where you are and look where you're going. But the story I'm going to tell you is a story. It's a very, very quick story about a halacha that you should all know, that when somebody is davening, their Shemona Esrei in particular, okay, when they're davening Shemona Esrei, and they're praying so hard, and sometimes people shuckle when they daven. This is called shuckling. And sometimes people like to pray very still, right? They daven or they look inside their sitter to make sure they're getting the words right and they're concentrating. So nobody else is allowed to walk in front of them. Can't walk in front of them for two reasons. One, because it can distract the person. And two, you shouldn't stand between somebody and when they daven to Hashem to where they're davening to. That's rude. That's not considerate. And one time, somebody was walking in the Kotel. He was being very careful, but he was walking, and he didn't notice somebody davening Shemona Esrei because the person davening Shemona Esrei was very short, and he didn't see them. They're a very short person, and he didn't see the person. And when he was walking, all of a sudden he felt something strange, and he looked and he saw the person davening, and the person was crying. So he stopped. He was going to say something, but then he noticed the person was in the middle of their Shemona Esrei. You can't talk to somebody when they're in the middle of their Shemona Esrei. That would be interrupting them. So he went over to the side, and he waited, and he saw the person, took a deep breath, and then they went back to davening, and they were shuckling. They weren't crying anymore. Finally, they ended their Shemona Esrei. And in case you don't know, when you end your Shemona Esrei, you take 3 steps back, and you bow to both sides, and you bow forward. And then he took us 3 steps forward. And then he waited till he finished davening. And then he went over to the person. He said, I'm so sorry. I noticed that I walked in front of you, which I shouldn't have done, and I want to apologize. But I noticed as soon as I did, you started to cry. Why were you crying? So he said, listen, I have to tell you. I don't normally tell this to people. But when I pray and I talk to Hashem as if I'm having a real conversation with Hashem. It's me and Hashem, we're in a conversation. Hashem doesn't always answer back, and I can't hear Hashem when Hashem answers, but I'm in a real conversation. And you walked in front of me, and for that split second that you were in front of me, you interrupted my conversation with Hashem. And it was at that point, I have somebody in my family who's not doing so well, and I was davening for them. And it was as if you stopped the conversation between me and Hashem, and it hurt so much. I started to cry. But then you kept on walking, and I realized it was only a second. And I took a deep breath, and I got back into my conversation with Hashem. And the man heard this, and he said, I'm so sorry. I didn't even realize. I'm normally so careful. He said, it's okay. It happens. It's fine. I forgive you. And the man came back, and he told his family the story. And his family sat there and they were amazed that people daven that hard, and it helped their whole family start davening harder. And I hope that the story helps you daven even harder. What a wonderful, wonderful story.